Welcome back to another ABE update, and we are in August, and this message, this communication is from Tuesday the 9th of August and it's quite a long one, longer than usual. So as before, I'm going to split it into two parts. I'm going to read the first part and then give some comments and perspectives on it, and then continue to the second part. So I'll get on with it. Tuesday, 9th of August. You see, what we want to say here today is that many a person have given up. And we do say this with great reverence here. That you see, this life that you have is indeed a fine balance. And you may say, well, I am damned if I do and damned if I don't. But your relation too is and has to be there. If anything then, for that is the point here, and it is indeed has to be to you. This is why we do so say step relate. For in this you are making your own path, and whomever is in relation with will join you. See, you are not shifting and sorting, naming and placing, holding tight and directing others. You are free to move in which direction you wish, you see. And it may change. You have to allow things to move, and that is in allowance of others also. You cannot say what is right, for you has to be right for another. But hear this, you do not have to be same to relate, for as well as yourself being free to move, you do indeed have to allow this also to others. This is not to say you don't care, for you have been conditioned to hold tight that which you love. But you are placing yourself as the main point, you see. There is a slight change in subject here now, but still in relation to, and it is this. There is such a thing as spiritual stagnancy. But what would be more fitting is the word human stagnancy. In this being in keeping yourselves in loop. For you see, you feel that something have to change in another for them to see. But in your seeing is enough. You do not have to make another person, another place, another space the object of your focus. For then you are entangled and you are again at whim. This is not to say that you shut off, that you close and protect. No, not at all. But it is a continuance to step relate, to take the time to allow others to be and allow yourself to be also. To allow and see as to whether by being in relation with something else, you are indeed now not in relation to oneself. This is also the continuance, with much continuance of relation now. So that's the first part of the message, the communication. And it's in two parts in a way. Abe begins by saying it's almost as if we're seeing people are giving up. They're saying, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. And Abe is saying, well, you have to realize that you need to make your own path and not try and direct others around you, because it's what they call a step relate. We make a step, we resync, we resonate, we relate. And so by shifting ourselves in degrees, we start to realign and re-resonate. But the problem is that many people are trying to shift and sort, name and place, cataloging, trying to hold tight on things as we've been conditioned. And that is creating a blockage, this well, this kind of giving up almost, because we're trying to hold on to things and place them rather than um, realigning through a kind of resonance. And Abe says you are free to move in what direction you wish. Don't constrain yourself by these categories and these namings. You know, you have to allow things to move and allow other things to move also, without trying to direct them, without trying to impose yourself on them, impose yourself upon other people. Um, you cannot say what is right for you has to be right for someone else. Again, that's a kind of imposition. Um, you have to relate to yourself and allow others to find their own synchronization, their own relation. Um, it's not that you don't care, Abe says, it's just that you've been conditioned to hold tight to that which you love. We've been conditioned that if we care for someone, we have to hold on to them and take them with us. We have to not leave them behind. But that's not understanding another person's pathway, that they have to be allowed the freedom to make their own shifts, to make their own relations and alignments. Um, you know, as the famous phrase goes, if you love someone, set them free. Give them the freedom to allow their own alignments. Um, and then they say there's a slight changing subject here. They want to talk about a thing which may be called spiritual stagnancy, but they want to reframe it, not call it spiritual stagnancy, but human stagnancy, because the term spiritual itself has so much baggage and conditioning and external categorization, but it's human stagnancy. And that again is about keeping ourselves in loop. We're in this kind of looping pattern. We're like, we're treading water, and we're not being able to make a shift away from these conditionings, because again, we're getting entangled in everything exterior to us. As Abe says, it's not about trying to make another person, trying to impose upon another person, impose upon another place or space. It's not about closing off and shutting off. It's about step relate. We create a different alignment. We resonate and make a step. We shift our perspectives, and our shifting perspectives then shift us, and we make a shift and create a different resonance. We step relate, not trying to get entangled with the old belief systems or baggage or conditioning. So we have to allow others to be and allow ourselves to be. And in that, we can find relation, a resonance. So that's the first part of the communication. I will now read the second part. Hear this also. When we speak of relation to oneself, do not take it as you are the center, for you are a point. And you firstly have to be in relation to oneself. But you are also not the whole point, for you will in this seek value and validation external, passing up and down, in and out, and there will always be on and off. It is in allowing yourself fully and allowing that also at the same time, it is a coherence, not a divide. It is a relation, not a point at which your point is the center. You see this now, do you not? For it must be seen, otherwise you will be in a place of the world, revolving around yourselves. And although you are of a point, you are not the whole point. This is relational value. You see, the key here is not the help you give, but the relation to. If you are continually helping from a source of your own splintered selves, then the question be, are you helping at all? But hear this, it is not in the continual healing of oneself, but to also be in relation to. For many of you get stuck in helping as you say, in your definition of it, and tend to hinder more. The question then lies here: are you allowing yourselves and also allowing another? This is indeed where you are most effective, you see. So in this second part of the communication, Abe is saying that often we take ourselves to be the center of the world. Everything has to revolve around us. We have to take all relations and meanings around us. But that in doing that, we're seeking external validation. We're seeking external value. And but that takes us up and down, in and out, on and off, says Abe. We're being pushed around by these external impacts if we seek validation from the external. And by doing that, we're not allowing ourselves fully. It's true that we are a point of consciousness, but we don't have to be the whole point, i.e., we don't have to try and think we are the center of the world, the whole point of everything, because then we're not in a coherent relation with others, with the energies and the world around us and the frequencies. If we take everything to be we are the whole point of everything, we close off. We close down coherency. So you are a point, but not the whole point. You have to be in relational value. And then Abe talks about the notion of healing. How can we be a source of healing if we're coming from a splintered place, the splintered self within? And Abe says, if we're coming from a splintered place, are we really helping at all? Because we have these definitions of wanting to help, but often we're hindering because we start to impose upon others. We start to force something upon others, but we're not coming from a place of coherency. We're coming from a fragmented, splintered self, and therefore we can't help at all if we're not coherent within ourselves. So again, what Abe says is our point of place is to be relational, to be in allowance, in flow, and to be able to align with resonance and vibration, to align with my perspective, the greater consciousness and perception of that, instead of being narrowed into these categories of I must relate to this and impose on this, I must help from my perspective. You cannot help another if they are not within your alignment, your resonance, and that's what Abe said also, in that we have to be in resonance with someone to be able to understand or even assist them. So and we should be careful not to hinder them or develop a human stagnancy, which then stops us from being our freedom to allow and to shift to a new resonance. And we have to allow other people their own path in that. So that's some of my thoughts on that longer communication from Abe. So I'll leave it there until next time. Cheers.